Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. The name is Maya and today I'm gonna be ranking every trial in Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, with the 6th place being the worst, meanwhile the 1st place being the best. Keep in mind that this ranking is based on my personal opinion, but feel free to share your insights in the comment section down below. And obviously, content warning, this video contains spoilers for Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, as well as mentions of death, suicide, etc. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. Number 6. Trial 3, in which the victims were Kiyotaka and Hifumi, meanwhile the culprit was Celeste. There's something particularly wrong with the 3rd trials in Danganronpa. It's not about the fact that 2 people, well, technically 3 people die, but it's the fact how badly they are written. Well, first things first, I personally believe that both motive and the killing plan in this chapter were absolutely ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, I am absolutely in love with Celeste, but I think this chapter just did her dirty. You know, throughout the entire game, she's described as an excellent liar and overall a very complex character, meanwhile in chapter 3, not only does she carry the most ridiculous murder plan in the history, but also acts extremely suspicious from the very beginning of the trial. Imagine trying to frame the dumbest person that walks on the earth into murdering 2 people while putting him into a robotic suit. See? It sounds absolutely absurd. The only good thing about this chapter was the execution because it was quite enjoyable. Also, justice for Taka. He deserved better. Number 5. Trial 6. I know. Some of y'all are probably going for my throat right now, but hear me out. Obviously, Trial 6, being the final trial, was the most significant trial in the game. But was it really? I feel like after finishing this chapter, I've had more questions than answers. I understand that was probably the purpose of it, since Junko was supposed to manipulate and trick us, plus I believe the game developers wanted to encourage players to buy the next game of the series. I appreciate Junko for being such a well-written character, but at the same time, this chapter just made me absolutely despise her. Also, Junko changing her personality every 5 seconds made this trial very tiring and unbearable to me. The only good thing was, again, the execution, cause I think it was actually pretty fun. I mean, Junko going through all of the execution that we've seen so far, yeah, pretty cool. Number 4, Trial 4, in which both the victim and the culprit were Sakura. I'm aware many people were annoyed with this chapter, but since I'm a huge Asahina fan, I couldn't help but empathize with her. What she tried to do was obviously wrong, since she wanted to get everyone killed to bring Sakura justice, but I'm here to defend her. I think that her behavior not only reflected how much Sakura meant to her, but also the fact that she also felt guilty for her best friend's death. If it comes to Sakura, on the other hand, I think this chapter did her justice. Sure, I wanted to see more of her, but I think the fact that she killed herself gave her a huge character development. Simply put, this showed how good and thoughtful she was. She didn't want anyone to die, nor betray her classmates, as she was the tool to the mastermind. This chapter made me like Sakura even more than before. If it comes to the execution, well, it simply broke my heart. Since Chihiro was my favorite character in the game, and seeing his creation getting destroyed absolutely broke me. Number 3, Trial 5, in which the victim was, well, technically Mukuro Ikusaba, meanwhile the culprit was the mastermind, although it was Makoto who was elected as the Blackened. This entire trial was both confusing and entertaining, but it was not the trial itself that I liked best, but the investigation. The fact we didn't know who the victim was, since the body got blown up, made the investigation super engaging. Also, I enjoyed seeing Byakuya and Makoto's relationship grow stronger. Byakuya is way softer towards Makoto than he was before, especially during the next chapter after he finds out Makoto managed to survive. But back to the trial. Since Kyoko was absent during the investigation, everyone thought she was the one who died. I found it hilarious when everyone tried to convince Hiro that Kyoko is not a ghost, as he strongly believed her to be one. Number 2, Trial 2, in which the victim was Chihiro, meanwhile the culprit was Mondo. As I already mentioned before, Chihiro was my favorite character, so his death really broke my heart. Although I still really loved this trial as well as the investigation. Toko's secret getting revealed felt both surreal and fun. This trial gave her huge character development. I also loved Byakuya as the antagonist, as he tampered with the crime scene, making this whole trial even more entertaining. Despite that, this trial had an emotional twist to it. It was hard to watch Kiyotaka cry over Mondo's doings, as we've seen their bond grow stronger during Chapter 2. I also need to mention Mondo's character development. What he did to Chihiro was awful, but on the other hand, he tried to do everything he could to keep Chihiro's secret, as he was the only one to know that Chihiro was in fact a boy. Number 1, Trial 1, in which the victim was Sayaka and the culprit was Leon. This was not only the first trial in Trigger Happy Havoc, but also the very first trial of the entire Danganronpa franchise. I feel like I loved every single detail of it. First things first, this trial was extremely engaging, not just because it was the first ever trial, but also because of how interesting this chapter was. As much as I dislike Sayaka, I personally believe that her murder plan was pretty good. It obviously didn't work since she ended up getting killed, but overall it wasn't a bad plan at all. Sayaka was the only character who actually acted natural considering the motive and the general situation Makoto's classmates happened to be in. Her coming up with the plan to murder someone really reflected how desperate and scared she was after finding out that she's in the killing game. Leon, whom Sayaka tried to kill but failed miserably, simply saw an opportunity and ended up killing the ultimate pop sensation. I think everyone felt kind of sorry for him during the class trial since he was the first one to be executed and got tricked into killing her, but on the other hand, no one told him to kill Sayaka. He could have just left the room after she locked herself in the bathroom, right? Anyways, Leon's execution was also great and super nerve-wracking. It's definitely one of my favorite executions in the entire series. So that was it. Thank you all so much for watching. Feel free to share your personal rankings of the trials in the comments. I will gladly compare them to my opinion. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you in the next one.